so good to be here with you with another video. Who would have thought? Two videos close together. Who am I? That's straight. And irony of ironies, I get a brand new camera, get a brand new microphone, and I'm not using it in this video. I'm just sharing a screen. Isn't that how life works? If you're new here or if you just clicked on this video, hello. My name is Kelly Martin. I'm an author and a developmental editor. I also ghostwrite. And this is my channel. Hello, how are you? And today I'm going over my favorite books that I have read this year. Now, I know there's a lot of these videos out, and I very much appreciate you clicking on this one because I love talking about books. It's one of my favorite things in the whole entire world to do. But if you look here, I only had a goal of reading 25 books, and I've only read 22. And it feels like I've read more than that, and I really have because, as I said, I'm a developmental editor, so I've read a lot of books this year. Lots of wonderful books that haven't came out yet. So when they do come out, I will definitely mark and put them as read. But for right now, those books have not came out yet, so these are the books that I have read for pleasure in this year. Hopefully next year I will read more books. I have lots of books I want to read next year. So I'm very much hoping that I can get this up to 50. And of course with the surgery, if you didn't see my update video, I'm having surgery in January and I'll be out of work until March. So that hopefully will give me lots of time to catch up on all the books that I have been wanting to read forever. That's not what this video is about. These are my top books that I read in 2021. Now, a little bit about the 22 books that I did read. 10 of them are indie books, which I thought was very interesting. 10 were indie. 2 were put out by small presses, and 10 were large publishers, traditionally published books. So 10 indie, 2 traditional small press, and 10 traditional large press books, which I think is a very good assortment of different types of books. I'm actually very proud of myself with that split. I like it. Kind of tells you where my hybrid writing status comes into play. So I started off the year with the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I loved that book. We won't get into the ones that I absolutely loved first, but I will go through the ones that I read. The Collected by K.R. Alexander, which is a middle grade horror. A Fall from Grace from Janine. I can't read her name. I'll get it closer so I can see it. Oh, I could just do that. Janine Gute. Misspoke. I'm so sorry. A Duke's Wild Kiss by Tamara Gill. Julia Quinn, The Duke and I. Hide and Seeker by Deca Herman. Let's see what I did up here. Okay, there we go. Now it's better. I had that little thing twirling. I was confused. Okay, Hide and Seeker by Deca Herman. The Scare School by R.L. Stein. Scare Me by K.R. Alexander. Neurosis by Amy Hale. Supernatural 911 Calls by Eve S. Evans. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. These Ghosts Bleed by Christy Aldrich. Escape Room by Maren Stoffels. The Long Walk by Richard Bachman, Stephen King. I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan. True Ghost Stories by Eve S. Evans. These Clockwork Stars by Misty. I'm so sorry, Misty. Misty Melkassian. I'm so sorry for butchering that. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Mary by Amy Cross. Christmas in Love by Karen Thornhill. Nightmares of Strangers, an anthology of eerie, strange, and spooky stories by Touchpoint Press. I should add that I do have a story in this one. But, I read all of them, so I did add it. And I needed books. And The Marionettes by Katie Weismer, who I read this one on audiobook. This is one of the few audiobooks that I read. And I just got Audible. Again, I had it and then I took it off and now I have it again. So I'm excited to read more audiobooks. This one was a great narrator. I really liked it. Okay, so what were my top books? And these are the ones that I want to talk about and tell you about. None of these were bad. Let me start off by saying that. None of these were terrible. None of these were bad in the least. I enjoyed parts of all of them. So don't think that just because I don't mention them as one of my favorites that they're automatically a least favorite. That is definitely not true. And my favorites aren't even in any kind of order. It's just what I thought of at the time. So one of my favorites is The Long Walk. I might surprise you by telling you that I love Stephen King movies. I know, shock. But I've never read a Stephen King book. I have tried. I've tried to read it several times. I've tried to read The Stand. I love The Stand. Didn't get through it. I've tried to read Carrie. Didn't get through it. That's one of my books that I want to read in 2022. But I finished The Long Walk, and if you've not read it, it is heartbreaking. On the first day of May, 100 teenage boys meet for an event known throughout the country as the Long Walk. If you break the rules, you get 3 warnings. If you exceed the limit, what happens is absolutely terrifying. I don't know if it's a spoiler to tell you what happens, but basically, these boys sign up for this. Like there's it's a privilege, it's an honor to get chosen to be on the long walk. And after your 3 warnings, one, if you stop walking, well, mainly if you stop walking, that's the thing you have to keep doing. Then you are no longer able to be alive, basically. And it is heartbreaking and it's so sad, and the ending just my heart. So I love this book. It was strange and it was weird and it had no real purpose to it, and I think that's what was really sad about it, because you think that there's a reason. Like, if these boys were made to do this, if they were forced to do it, then that would be one motivation. But they're not. They do it, they sign up for it. They sign up to walk, knowing what's going to happen to them. So I thought it was a great book. It was something. It was. I read this because I saw a TikTok that talked about. It was either TikTok or a YouTube video. I can't remember. I think maybe it was a YouTube video that talked about disturbing books, and this was absolutely a disturbing book. It's not very gory. It's not it's not a slasher horror, but it will definitely stay with you, and it has some definite parts that it makes you think. It really, really does. So The Long Walk by Stephen King is one of my top favorites that I read this year. What do you think is next? These Ghosts Bleed by Christy Aldridge. Okay. This is a twisted book, too. Very twisted. Very twisted. Let's talk about it. I think people live many different lives before dying. Anna Gordon wrote before pulling the trigger and killing herself. Her husband Alan is more angry than grieved at his wife's suicide. After all, she belonged to him. After 16 years of marriage, he thought he knew his wife through and through. He was wrong. Anna had a secret life he never knew about. Anna was writing books. Really good books. Without him knowing. It was her secret. Now Alan had decided the ultimate revenge he can have on his late wife is to publish the book she wrote only for herself and paste his name on them. After all, what belongs to his wife also belongs to him. But as he begins to move on with his plan, it becomes increasingly apparent that Anna won't accept this lying down, not even when she's lying 6 feet under in the dirt. Anna is still with Alan, watching his every move, turning his new life upside down and driving him mad. Alan begins to fear that death will never do them part. Anna will have her revenge, one way or the other. This book is, oh, y'all. I, I just, oh my goodness. As disturbing as The Long Walk is, this book, I think, tops it in some different ways. I was not expecting the things that happened in this book. It was something. It was something. That's what we should say. Um, every time I talk about it, especially on TikTok, I play the song from Pompeii, If You Close Your Eyes. And if you've read this book, or if you do read this book, that will make perfect sense in a very, very morbid way. I suppose it's a little bit of a spoiler, but you won't. The thing that you would never, I don't think, imagine what that has to do with unless you read this. It is not for the faint of heart. It is definitely not the cleanest book on this list. It doesn't have like a lot of language or anything, but it is a very tad bit disturbing in some ways. And Alan is not. Oh man, he's one of those characters that you just can't forget. He is I can't talk about it too much more, but if you're looking for a very fun, easy horror read, don't pick this one up. If yeah, this kind of goes with The Long Walk in the disturbing category. But I liked it. What does that say about me? I don't know. The next book is Supernatural 911 Calls. These these real interviews by first responders, 911 operators, police, and firemen are nothing short of ghostly. If you love true paranormal oh my goodness, haunting stories, then this book is a must read, filled with true stories told by real professionals. These tales will leave you wide eyed and hiding under the blankets till like a child after the campfire ghost stories. Caution. I love this part. This book is not for the faint of heart, not recommended for children or adults that are easily frightened. So, Eve S. Evans is a wonderful author. She has books in fiction books, and then she has real life paranormal books. And this is one of them. This is the first one I read, called Supernatural 911 Calls. I absolutely loved it. I rarely get scared reading things at night, and this one kind of made me start looking over my shoulder a little bit. I think it's because it's framed in a real life situation that these people told their stories to Eve, and this is their real experiences. That is always incredibly creepy. So, yeah, this book scared me. It's not disturbing in the way The Long Walk or These Ghosts Bleed is. It's a fun read, a fast read, a scary read, something to read when you want some scares but not gore. It's fun. I really liked this book. She did a great job with it. Okay, my next book on this list of favorites is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Oh my goodness. I absolutely love this one. Fried green tomatoes and steel magnolias meets Dracula in this southern flavored supernatural thriller set in the 90s about a woman's book club that must protect its suburban community from a mysterious and handsome stranger who turns out to be a blood sucking fiend. It is amazing. I absolutely love this book, and I think I messaged one of my friends while I was reading it, and I said I've never related to a character as much as I relate to Patricia. Patricia is a wife, she is a mother, and she just wants to have her book club so she can be Patricia. And then things happen. It's good. It's not what I thought would happen. I guess I had too much Buffy and Angel in my mind for what I thought would happen. But this vampire is very vampire-y, let's say. He's very suave. He's very, let's see, he's very charming. But it's not really just Patricia that he charms. He also does one really, really, really bad thing. Like a really, really, really bad thing that I just forgot about until right this second. I should say that most of these books should come with a think bad things might happen um, tag, because it looks like it's gonna be a fun book, and it is for the most part, except for one scene, and I don't know why this scene's in there. To be honest, I have no idea what's there. I don't think it really serves a purpose. Um, it is an assault scene toward, I won't tell you when or what characters in case you want to read it and not be spoiled, but there is a physical um, assault from one of the um, male characters against a female character. Was not. I did not like that scene. I did not. I like. I like held my breath when I got to. So even though it is one of my favorite books, I have reread it and I totally skip over that one scene because it just. I'm not a big fan of that scene, but other than that, it's a good book. That I just happened to think about that part right now. Um, but yeah, not your typical Buffy Angel vampire book, let's say. Okay. Next book that I want to talk about that I absolutely love. This is a middle grade. And it's called Hide and Seeker by Deca Herman. One of our most iconic childhood games receives a creepy twist as it becomes the gateway to a nightmare world. I loved this book. This was one that I read, I think, in February. Yeah, February. And it's one of them. I didn't read a lot of middle grade this year, which is sad. I usually read a lot of middle grade. But this one is about hide and seeker and a game of hide and seek that goes terribly wrong, and what happens to this group of friends because a game of hide and seek goes terribly wrong. It has lots of action, lots of twists, really cool imagery, and it's a middle grade that I recommend so much. When people ask me for middle grade horror recommendations, definitely Hide and Seeker. It's such a good book. I really want to reread it again. And it deals with lots of loss and anxiety and feeling like you've caused bad things to happen. So it's my favorite thing about horror, and one of my favorite things about writing horror is learning to deal with real life situations or internal situations and internal feelings externally. And this book does a great job of that, of finding things that people, kids, adults, deal with internally and making it where they can fight those fears externally. And that's my favorite thing about horror. And this book does it beautifully. And another book that kind of has an honorable mention from me as a favorite is Neurosis by Amy Hale. Seeing isn't always believing. Trapped by her past trauma, Macy McCall worked with a variety of therapists and medications. Most yielded minimal results. Her newest doctor, Daniel Yates, helps bring forth her biggest breakthrough, and she believes she can see the light at the end of a very dark and scary tunnel. With a boyfriend and a good job, she enjoys her blooming independence. Then she sees her, the woman that looks exactly like her. This mirror image plagues her life in a way that she would never have expected, and when it all unravels, she won't be the only one left wondering what is real and what is imagined. This was one of those books where I couldn't put it down. I had to know what was going on, what the mystery was, what the ending was, what was going on with Macy, what was going on with Macy's friends and family. And I just kept flipping through the pages. Like I needed to know. One, I love the title. Two, I absolutely love the cover. And three, I needed to know. I needed to know how it went. And by the time I got to the ending, I was very glad I did. So, very much an honorable mention for the year. This could be my top 6 favorites of the year. But yeah, I absolutely love Neurosis. Now, as I said before, just because I didn't mention these doesn't mean they're not, I didn't like them. The Collected, I read, this is the sequel to The Collector, which I actually liked better than The Collected. This is The Collector. It's awesome. The Collected was good, but I liked The Collector better. Then we had A Fall from Grace. I don't actually remember it. A Duke's Wild Kiss. I don't remember that too much either. The Duke and I read because of, just don't know why I read The Duke and I. Hide and Seeker, which I love. Just Beyond, I love R.L. Stein, but this one was just not my favorite R.L. Stein, and apparently I'm not alone with a 2.91 rating. I thought it had so much potential, but it fell very flat for me. And my daughter, I gave it to her to read, and she felt kind of the same way. Scare Me is really good. This is a middle grade horror book. It was really good. It's about a haunted house that these kids put on every year, and this little boy tries to make his room of the house the best. And he uses a real life skeleton that he did, real life body that he didn't know was a real life body, and hijinks ensues. We've talked about Neurosis and 911 calls. Scary stories tell in the dark. I love scary stories tell in the dark. I really did. They were very close to being on the list. They would have been if I could have. Well, we'll add them to the list. There's no real rhyme or reason to the list. Let's just say. Scary Stories Tell in the Dark was awesome. More Scary Stories Tell in the Dark. I've read all 3 of them. I don't know why I don't have them on here. Is there another one that I need to put on here? Am I up to 23? I don't know. But those were really good. I liked them. And I gave them my daughter, and she loved them. These Ghosts Bleed, which is wild. That's about all I can say is it's wild. Escape Room has an awesome premise. These kids go to an escape room, of course, and these teens go to an escape room, and then they get stuck in the escape room, and they can't get out. and it's what's going on, what kind of a room is it, what's up situation. I just didn't really. I mean, I read it really fast because I wanted to know what was going on. But when I figured out what was going on, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't a bad book. It just wasn't one of my favorites of the year. Then The Long Walk, which came out 1979, but I just read it this year. Really liked it. I Know What You Did Last Summer, which if you've read the book and watched the movie, you know they are totally different. Totally different. I venture to say, and I'm a huge I Know What You Did Last Summer fan. Like, I love the movie. But I kind of think I like the book better because it gives more of a in-depth character arc of all the characters. So I really did like I Know What You Did Last Summer, the book, better than the movie. And this is the tweaked version of the book that Lois Duncan tweaked after she got to make changes to her books. True stories to True Ghost Stories. This is one of the ones. I thought it was Supernatural 911 because it wasn't. It was True Ghost Stories. This is the one that I couldn't read it at night. It scared me. This one actually scared me, which is hilarious. Yeah, I write scary books. This book scared me. Yay, Eve. Congratulations. These Clockwork Stars. I thought this was so sweet. I loved it. Misty did such a good job of making this world seem real. I don't read a whole lot of fantasy, but I follow Misty on YouTube. And I saw that she had this book coming out, and I wanted to read it because I love her channel. She did such a good job with it. This book is beautiful, and it's fun, and it's just, I couldn't say any more nicer things about it. It's so good. I loved, like, I had to know what happened next. Really, really liked it. Mary by Amy Cross. I don't know where the cover unless I put it on the wrong Mary, because I know that happens. So this one was creepy. Amy Cross is like, if you've read Darcy Coates, Amy Cross is a lot like, her books are a lot like Darcy Coates' books, which I absolutely love. Mary is about a police officer who got it's his first day on the job, and he got a phone call, and he went to this abandoned house. Apparently everybody had got the phone call on their first day at the police station. He went to check it out, but he saw somebody in the abandoned house, and that person was Mary, and is freaky as all get out. So, there you go. Christmas in Love. I really like Christmas in Love. You can tell I have lots of different tastes. So when you go from like the creepy and the scary, like True Ghost Stories, and just the wild craziness of These Ghosts Bleed, then Christmas in Love was wonderful. It was so nice. It was such a nice break. um, between all the scary, creepy stories, and Natalie and Cade were such an awesome couple. Then we had Nightmares of Strangers, which I've talked about. I'm in this anthology. I have a story called Forever Yours in it, but since I read all the other stories in it, I decided to put it on this list. And The Marionettes by Katie Weismer, which is a vampire book. I really, really love vampire books. And it's a totally different type of vampire book than the Southern book club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This one is set in a boarding school, sort of like a college boarding school, and witches and vampires sort of work together. They're partners, but not really. And Valerie has some powers that not everybody knows about, and those powers are waning and you don't know why. I listened to this in audiobook and I actually drove home the long way instead of the short way so I could finish it. That tells you how much I was really into it. The second book is out. It's not, I think is it Wicked Souls maybe? Let me click it. The second book is out. It's not on audio yet though. So I haven't got it, but I do plan on reading it. Let's see. Wicked Souls. Yeah, this is book 2. Wicked Souls. I'm not ready yet, but I do have it on my 2022 TBR that I cannot wait to get to. Alright, guys. This was a really long video for 22 books. I'm 2 books behind schedule. I'm not going to finish. But those are the books that I've read in 2021. I don't know if I should title this my top favorite books or just books that I like or the books that I read because I went through every book that I've read this year and that just seems like a lot. But let's see, if I had to pick a favorite, I would, I can't do it. I can't pick a favorite. The Long Walk and These Ghosts Bleed affected me the most. My Land. Alan, there will never be another character in my brain like Alan, and I don't know if that's a good thing. It's probably not. No, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. So, these are my, if you ever wanted to get inside my brain and know what goes on in here and what kind of books I like to read, here you go. Here's a really good snapshot at what I read. I'm very sorry that you had to see this. I will see you in the next video where I will hopefully talk about some 2022 books or some books I'd like to read in 2022. Obviously, it's not going to be books that come out in 2022 because, I mean, 1973, 1979, maybe we'll get some this century in here. But I'm so glad that you were here with me. I'm so sorry this was such a long video. Actually, I'm not sorry. I had a wonderful time talking about all these books that I really loved and really enjoyed. And I hope you enjoyed it too. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.